Black Ferns and Wallaroos, folks. 52-5 is a proper highlight. We'll go through some key events and stats. You guys can let me know your thoughts on this game. Down in Christchurch, good wee crowd, pretty vocal, gotten behind the team, and they certainly had a lot to cheer about from a New Zealand perspective. A little bit troubling from an Aussie perspective. I haven't seen the Black Ferns play that much. Pacific Fours was the last time I saw them play. I went to see them play Canada. They won that tournament, obviously. Back then they played the Wallaroos in a game I didn't see, but it was 23-10, which is kind of competitive. But this game, absolute blowout, really. The Wallaroos were kind of lucky. Not lucky, they had some chances, but they didn't get any until the last minute. So they were lucky in a way not to get nilled. I mean, you could say they were unlucky not to score more than once. But anyway, I keep in mind the fact that the Wallaroos, I don't believe, have professional contracts, where the Black Ferns now, better late than never, do. Like England and I think France have had them for a lot longer, and that's kind of showed in some of their results up north. But with the Black Ferns getting professional contracts, happy days coming into the World Cup, I would imagine. At least this one performance seems to be pretty encouraging. Although it was messy early, the Wallabies, I'm going to say Wallabies a lot. The Wallaroos mauled it when they weren't opting for threes. The Black Ferns passing was just going a little bit awry. The execution was not quite there. But they did seem to be one proper pass away from a score, the Black Ferns. Forward passes and whatnot were just not quite going. But you knew once it gets right, it's going to open up the Wallaroos defence. And sure enough, it did, man. DeMont gets the first one on 13 minutes. Line out move. Kendra Coxedge gets the ball wide, and then inside ball to DeMont, the kind of next phase. And the Black Ferns go over. And that kind of opens the floodgates. 13 minutes, the first try. Namwu on 22, the next one. Duplessis on 28, the next one. And then Coxedge on 30, the next one. So it's kind of bang, 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 right? After, I don't want to say struggling, but after not being able to execute for the first quarter of an hour, when they finally get it right, you get that bit of clinical edge about you, and you start ticking the scoreboard over. So it's 7-0. Their next maul went close, the Black Ferns. They didn't manage to get over the line. They managed to concede a penalty, but at least they were varying it up, because the first line out, attacking territory, they spun it. Second one, they go for a maul. I do like teams that do a bit of both, because it keeps defenses on their toes. They can't just kind of prep for one thing. 22 minutes, like I said, was the Namwu try. The tight head prop had gone close, but couldn't finish it, so the big lock finishes at 12-0. Aussie's still not going for threes, and their line out was really, really struggling. We'll get to the end, but the Aussie line out was poor, not straights and a few overthrows. Black Ferns down the other end, though, no mistakes. Duplessis, I thought she'd blow in a big old overlap that they had, but she managed to reach out and score the try herself. She would have struggled a wee bit in the review on Monday had she not scored that one, but she gets it, so happy days, 19-0, and then it's a quick-fire double. Coxedge behind the back pass to Letiinga, who gets a couple of tries of her own later. She gets the big line break, and then Coxedge with the support line. All from a Wallaroos kind of cheeky grubber restart as well. Like, if you're going to do those, you need to regather it, but they didn't. So, the Black Ferns go into half-time with a 26-0 lead, which is looking pretty comfortable. Like I mentioned, the Aussie line-out's a bit of a shambles. Tui keeps kicking the ball. I wanted her to run, but Ruby Tui kept kicking it. Guess that was the game plan, but run meters were like 300 plus to like 55 at half-time. It was all the Black Ferns. Absolutely all the Black Ferns. Clean breaks was 3-0. Wallaroos needed to show us something else in the second half, and they did start the second half with a fair bit of pressure, but would just concede penalties at the breakdown. And then, Black Ferns go back on the offensive. Letiinga gets one on 44 minutes. She shows some absolute proper wheels. She dummies, I think it's Murphy, the right winger, gets her to kind of turn her shoulder and just puts the hammer down. She's gone, so the scoreboard ticks over to 33 points. It's getting embarrassing with DeMont's second try. Again, it's from a line-out. Nice offload in the tackle from the Black Ferns. They offloaded a lot in this game. They showed some real silky skills. 40 points to 0. Black Ferns are starting to get on top of the scrum as well, as the Aussie girls tired a wee bit. The forwards went close, but it was left to Letiinga to finish it off again, so she gets a double. And that's 45 points to 0. It's looking like, because the commentators talking about the record scores was like 60-something 3. It's looking like we could get 50, 60 plus points. But But nah, then the game kind of peters out a wee bit, which is not in a bad way. It becomes kind of tit for tat. You know what I mean? The Aussies have another chance which they are unable to convert, but they're at least able to win some turnovers, get some territory down the Black Ferns end. Black Ferns defence holds, turns the Aussies over, so at least it's kind of back and forth instead of just bang, 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 try, which, as fun as that is to see, isn't much of a contest. But they did get one last try, the Black Ferns, after a bit of a dry spell through Connor, the replacement hooker. Maul went over for their second maul try. The Aussies didn't even jump, but they couldn't stop the maul. It was brutal stuff. So 50 on the board, so 52 with the conversion. Looking pretty miserable for the Aussies. And as I said, they have had their chances down the Black Ferns end, but they were just unable to really kind of break that brick wall that was the Black Ferns defence. They did finally get it on like 79 minutes. Pomare with the big carry. They get wide ball to Duck out on the left wing, and she goes over for an unconverted try. So I'm happy for the Wallaroos that they didn't get nilled. Nobody wants to get nilled, especially when you've shipped 50 points. But yeah, it was a pretty hard day at the office for the Wallaroos, you'd have to say. Run meters finished 594 to 120. And the thing I'm more interested there is how many carries they had. Because like if you divide in the run meters by the carries, the Black Ferns are running 4.5 meters a carry, which is pretty bloody effective. It shows they're getting really forward over the advantage line, whereas the Wallaroos were at 2, which means they were going absolutely nowhere against that Black Ferns defence. Clean breaks is 6 zip, which is also kind of indicative of that. Defenders beaten 28-5, and the offload game for the Black Ferns went 13-1. That does mean they still coughed up a little bit of too much pill. Turnovers conceded was a little bit too high. Some drop balls, some forward passes and whatnot, like I mentioned, but they were trying their hand, which not long out from a World Cup is maybe something you want to do and kind of see how stuff sticks. Kicking game, 12 kicks from hand to 9 is kind of low, at least compared to the men's game anyway, where we can sometimes see 20, 30, even 40 kicks from one team. So 12-9 is on the low side. I mentioned the Aussie line-out. It finishes at 69%, which is low. You want to be 80 plus. The Black Ferns are almost at 90% with 88 for them, so much more effective. And they certainly scored some tries, either from line-out moves out to the backs or from the big forwards up front. So either way, 52-5, folks. Bit of a hiding. But yeah, they play again next week. So a chance for the Wallaroos to at least take it up a gear from what was a pretty forgettable performance from them. But yeah, that's my old man sending me messages about the game, I think. So I'm going to go listen to them, see what he's got to say. You guys let me know your thoughts of the game if you watch this one. And yeah, Rugby World Cup 2021 for the women, not too far away. So maybe encouraging signs for the Black Ferns. But having seen England play in the Six Nations, my money will still be on them, but that's still a wee ways away. Anyway, you guys have any thoughts? And I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.